Is that not absolute perfection? It just goes to show you, with the second week of November, and if you layer up properly and brave them elements, the results are still there to be had. You've got to be comfortable on the bank, you've got to be warm, and I certainly have been. And look at the result I've had. I can't believe it, mid-November, and a 40-pound mirror, 43 pounds 6 ounces. What a carp, I'm absolutely buzzing. Perfect in every way. Now let's talk you through that all important layering up for the winter so that you can get out on the banks and stay warm and dry these cold months. Now to start with, and first on when I'm venturing out in the winter months, will be this new into the range REAX base layer. The REAX is a skin tight yet comfortable garment designed to be worn next to the skin. Its wicking properties draw sweat away from the body, keeping you dry, warm and comfortable on the bank. Now the REAX base layer is the perfect garment to wear underneath a pair of joggers and a hoodie, but for those real colder months when I'm venturing out on the bank, I wear this. So, after putting on my REAX base layer, my next step is to put on the two-piece undersuit. Now it might be freezing cold in the morning, so I can wear all my garments, and then as the temperatures warm up in the day, I might want to take off the two-piece undersuit top and just have the REAX and a suit or the REAX and a hoodie. You really can control your temperature by layering up properly in the winter. Now you might say, why not just put a pair of joggers and a hoodie on over the top of the REAX? Well, you could do, but the reason why I don't and the reason why I favour the two-piece undersuit is because it's a lot more fitted. This means ultimately, when you come to put your winter suit on, if you've got joggers and a hoodie on, it's going to be all bunched up and quite uncomfortable when you're sitting around. But by wearing the two-piece undersuit, everything's that little bit more fitted and ultimately more comfortable when you're fishing. So, we've got our REAX base layer on and we've now put our two-piece undersuit on. It's now time for the outer layer. Now, on days like today, where the temperatures are mild and I'm still likely to be quite active, the outer layer I'll be reaching for first is without question the Summit XP jacket and trousers. Now, as I touched on, the reason why I like the Summit XP jacket and trousers option when the temperatures are still quite mild is because I'm still likely to be quite active. Now, if I'm wearing a big heavy winter suit and I'm pushing my barrow around moving swims, spodding or getting the rods out, I'm quite likely to sweat up. Now, the beauty of having this slightly lighter garment on is that I'm still protected from the elements, I've got the waterproof qualities, I've still got the thermal qualities, but it's not as thick and chunky as an out-and-out winter suit. But for those times when I'm going to be sitting around for long periods of time, or worse still, venturing out when it's already Baltic, my suit of choice will be this. So, my suit of choice when I'm sitting around and not being very mobile, I just want to keep warm in freezing conditions, is the Elements bib and brace and jacket. The Elements itself comprises of two garments, both a bib and brace and a jacket. Now the reason why I like the Elements range is because I'm a big fan of the bib and brace. Now I like the fact that I can wear them on their own and keep all them important organs warm, maybe just with a hoodie if the temperatures are mild, and then when it's really freezing I can couple that up with the Elements jacket and I really am protected from everything. Now another reason why I like the Elements option is the fact it's still relatively lightweight to both carry and wear on the bank. Now where with some winter suits they're quite restrictive and are only really good for sitting around and keeping warm, the Elements I think is still a great option to wear if you're still needing to be relatively mobile when fishing in the winter months. So we've had a closer look at how I layer up and keep my body warm in the winter, but something I really suffer with is cold hands. So something I've never got too far from my side are my polar fleece gloves. Now keeping your hands warm on the bank is vitally important. As I mentioned before, I suffer from cold hands, so if I didn't have a decent pair of gloves, I probably wouldn't even venture out in the first place. Now the reason why I like the polar fleece gloves is because although you're covered completely when they've got their mittens over and the thumbs over like this, keeping all of your hands warm when you're sat around, if you need to get up and strike a rod or reel in or do any of those usual tasks like sticking the kettle on, you can simply fold back the mitten, fold back the thumb and you've got complete use of your hands, but still keeping the main bulk of your hand warm. So we've got our polar fleece gloves on, so our hands are going to be nice and warm. Now moving on to your head. Now you lose a lot of heat from your head, so if you don't wear a good warm hat in the winter, you really are going to struggle if you're going to brave them cold elements. Now we've all got our favourites. My three would be the one I've got on, which is the Artist series, this one here, which is the Team Bobble, and lastly, probably my favourite and new for this winter, is this one, which is the Base XP hat. Now it looks a little bit different, but I can assure you it's extremely warm and it even packs away in its own little stuff bag. So we've layered up our body, we've got our polar fleece gloves on to keep our hands warm, and we've got our chosen hat to keep our head warm. So now let's have a look at the final piece of the jigsaw before you put your chosen footwear on, and that's socks. Now my choice of sock is the Trakker merino wools. So as the name suggests, they've got a high content of merino wool. This keeps your feet really warm and toasty when you're on the bank. They've also got a reinforced heel and toe, so they're perfect for wearing with walking boots or Wellingtons during the winter. So there you have it, that's a short guideline to how I layer up in the winter months. Now I can't remember the last time I was cold on the bank in the winter, so if you follow that step for step, I'm sure you're going to stay dry, warm and above all, comfortable this winter.